anyone who is going to tune in to me and Holly talking, we connected maybe, 2 years ago? Briefly, wasn't it? A couple of years ago, Christmas is when it comes up to Christmas, in Thailand. So if anyone knows Tiger Muay Thai, Holly works there as a strength and conditioning coach. And yeah, so it's cool. I go there on holiday when the borders are all open and everything. So tell us a little bit, or like my community and people who follow me and tune into me, a little bit about you, Holly.
So I grew up in England, kind of lived in England until I was about 18 when I moved to Scotland for university. Kind of did like not fitness related things, geography, economics, that kind of thing. Went into the corporate world, and then when I was about 23 left, decided that I wasn't doing that well, in a sense that I actually got a little bit sick, and decided that the stress and kind of pressure of that industry was not for me. Kind of realized I wasn't like passionate about it. So at the end of 2017 moved to Thailand, and I rehabbed myself from being ill, retrained, and kind of changed my whole life to be kind of in the health and fitness industry. Spent kind of about 1.5 years in Thailand before I moved to Dubai. Spent kind of 10, 11 months working in Dubai just to get an experience of a different country. But I really missed Thailand. So when I got the offer to come back, I accepted, because I knew I was going to be happier here. And I mean, the plan was to get back in December last year, and like, this is it, get set up, get sorted. But unfortunately COVID happened, and this year has kind of been not really how we planned. But Thailand's still here, Tiger Muay Thai is still here, so a couple of things to still be grateful for.
Yeah, and how are you finding, like, with Tiger Muay Thai, obviously with the coaching, obviously with the numbers of people in the classes and everything like that? How is it over there? Because normally you've got like 20, 30, 40 people wanting to get into classes, right? And then what is it now?
Yeah.
Now?
So for those who don't know, Tiger Muay Thai is huge. Back in the kind of old high season, we would have maybe 700 people walking around camp every day, through the doors. We would have classes between like 30 up until like 55, 60 people sometimes. Now I'd say the average class is maybe 6 to 7 people, and sometimes even as low as 1 or 2 people right now.
Wow.
So it's been a real change, I think, because it's like physically such a huge place. You really, really feel the change, and you'll obviously have been there, so you're used to hearing like da 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 on the bags the whole time. Like, I remember the days where I would literally not even be able to hear myself think or coach because the MMA area was so noisy. And now it's so quiet and so eerie. Unfortunately, the whole street is really dead. A lot of businesses have closed. Some of the gyms have closed. So right now we're still open, working a reduced schedule, and just trying to keep going for as long as we can, hoping people will come back soon.
Yeah. Do you have any idea when the borders might open?
Not really. I mean, this month they were saying that they were going to try and let some Chinese tourists in, and we have the quarantine there, the 2-week quarantine period if you have a work permit or a visa of some sort. But in terms of tourists, like, I'm really not sure. So we're probably still thinking kind of next year time. So, which sucks, because I know there's like you, and there's so many of our friends who would love to just pop back and be here. I know already of quite a few people who are just kind of waiting right now to get here. But I mean, I don't know, like Phuket is a tourist island, so maybe it's different for you in Singapore, that you have those regular expat people who come to your gym, but we are definitely based in tourism. So.
Definitely. Singapore, we've got, there's been a large number of expats who have actually left Singapore for good. Just jobs have been lost and everything, and other circumstances too. But yeah, we've got a higher turnover of actual expats living in Singapore. So yours is more of a touristy destination. We actually got a lot of people who really do live here, long-term vision. Talk to me about your transition then. So it's very similar to me with your transition out of corporate world to the fitness, because what you've just said to me is I did the same at 25. That was here, and I just literally was like, this is not me. Like, I don't do heels every day. I don't want to be in all this corporate skirt kind of suit stuff. And tell me a little bit about that, because I didn't actually even know that.
Yeah, so I was actually kind of forced out in a way. So basically, like I was working, I wasn't loving it. Before I got sick, I wasn't loving the job. You know, it made me, I mean, I'm naturally a competitive person, right? I'm in sports, but it made me extremely competitive in that industry. I was working for a company, management consulting. And I remember, you know, days where I would just be at the desk for 7:30 a.m., be there until 9:30, 10. And that was my life for like 6 months. And I was really struggling with that. I was feeling quite lonely. And then all of a sudden I became quite ill. So,
So
yeah, so I was working in London at the time, and I remember like I started to feel like pain in my leg. And within 3 days, I was in hospital, and I never went back. So it was almost like this company made me feel like these companies make you feel like, you know, you have to do the job, like you have to be there all hours, they won't survive. And then one day I left and I never went back. And it ended up that I had a tumor at the base of my spine.
oh, wow.
And spent a month in hospital. Had a big operation to remove it. It ended up being benign, but it was a very complicated time. They thought it was malignant at first. There was a lot of confusion, misdiagnosis, mainly caused just by panic, I think, from their side. And then I kind of tried to rehab in the UK, and towards the end of 2017 realized I was not getting healthier. My depression and things were actually getting worse, and my nerve damage was not healing. And I'd been to Tiger once before in 2015. I'd spent 2 months here, and I just thought to myself at that time, if there's one place in the world where I could go right now to heal, like both like physically and mentally, it's there. So my parents had to kind of let me go, like in the terrible state that I was, and be like, okay, off you go kind of thing. And it was the best decision. I never really looked back. I retrained, fell in love with health and fitness. And, you know, I think it just taught me you can work for the best company and earn the most money in the world. But as soon as your health goes, everything goes.
Yeah.
And, you know, just like that, it happened in the space of 3 days.
Yeah.
And in a way, it's a blessing for me. I was only kind of 18, 19 months into the corporate world. I didn't have, you know, the big mortgage or anything financial. So it was easy for me to walk away. But I think now the more I've studied, the more I maybe question whether the stress actually caused the growth, you know, stress from that part of my life. Yeah. So what about you? How did you leave corporate?
Mine, so I studied, my background is marketing and branding. So I did that titled fashion. I don't know why I did that, but fashion, marketing and branding, which really, I think by year 2, I was just like, some of my best friends, they're amazing. They're in like top PR firms in London right now and work like Stella McCartney and other brands and things. But I realized when they were all talking about designers and Vogue and all these things, I literally just didn't have an interest. And I'm all about sport, and I always have been, like from a very young age. And I think it just dawned on me more towards the end of my final year. I was like, what is this? But then coming from that, I went backpacking when I was just out of uni and just went into a few jobs, and then was brought over to Singapore with my ex-boyfriend at the time. And I was doing any job that I could get a visa in, basically. So I had to do business development, and I was cold calling at one point, and I literally was like, oh my God. And did that I stuck out for 6 months, but because I needed that visa. And then slowly transpired, and I went into, I think it was 25, and like literally just everything was just kind of coming on top of me. I was like, what do I want to do? Like, I don't want to do this forever. And all at 25, I quit my job. I was about to move back to London, like, and see what was going to open up there. Ended it with my ex and did a few crazy things, lost some friends along the way. Felt pretty, it was one of my loneliest times I've ever felt. And my mum was like, come back. And I was like, no, I've got to ride this out. I've created this. I need to like work through this. So I stayed, and I managed to get a job marketing for the gym that I'm at now. So I was doing all the marketing and events and stuff for them then. that lasted about a year. And because I had all the trainers around me and everyone was like, like, why are you not coaching? Because this is obviously I've been doing it all my life, but not with clients or anything like that. So I got qualified. I've been training, coaching ever since. So I was scared at first to make that leap because I was like, oh my God, I'm not going to get a fixed salary. I have no idea how this is going to work, like whatever. And then one of my best friends at the time was literally like, you can do this. Like, just like I have the business side of it, or the business element. All I needed to do was just upskill and get qualified and kind of pursue it from there. And like, honestly, I'm the same. I've never looked back since. Like, and I will never, ever. You won't catch me in that. I love being in my Lycra, my sports bra, walking down the street. You know, like, it's my time. I manage my time. So yeah, that was my big transition, and that's where I am today. So yeah.
I think you're like me. Like, if you grew up, the thing is, in the UK, I think, like for me, you know, we grew up with sports. I was in every sports team. I played sports my whole life, and sports was my passion. But unfortunately, we're not educated to follow your passion. We're educated to go and follow something that's going to get us a good job and get us money. And looking back now, I'm like, sports was my whole childhood. Like, what on earth? Like, why would no one come up to me and say, you are passionate about sports? My dog. Go and do that. He just bashed into the table. For anyone watching, I have a small dog who's a bit crazy. So yeah, but you know, no one said go and follow your passion for sports. And I kind of just like, God, we don't educate our youngsters right.
It really isn't, and I think that's like a key message. Obviously, both of us are in the same position. Is like, for any young women out there and guys, is you can follow your passion. And it took me that long to realize, and I'm certain it doesn't matter it took me that long, because I'm here now. But I think I was the same. Like, I was thinking, right, I can be CEO, I can be managing director, I want to do this, I want to do that. And it's just funny because I look back and I'm like, I used to buy all these suits, like, if anyone knows the company Next in the UK, and I used to buy them, and like, my mum like loved it. Like, she's amazing, she loves them, she's good at what she does. But I think it seemed like a fit to follow, but it was like I broke away from everything of what I was meant to be doing. And I've even been asked, like, are you going to have a proper career after like 30? You know, you can't do it all the time. And I was like, I'm happy. So
I get addicted. You get addicted to health and fitness. It becomes so much a part of like every kind of moment. Like, it's hard to explain to someone, but like, you know, you wake up and health and fitness is everything. It's the, you know, we think about it all the time. It would be very hard to now leave and find that same passion in something else, you know?
You'd have to like pull me away. I wouldn't, so I had a question for you in terms of, so you're a big focus on strength training, am I right?
Yeah. Yes.
So for anyone out there who's listening, say they're particularly primarily interested in cardio and running and everything like that, what are the benefits that you'd say, like 3 or 4 benefits of strength training for them to up their game, especially for women? I mean, we're really targeting and talking about women here. Is what would you suggest and recommend, and why they'd pick up strength training?
I think for me, like, one of the main things that I always say to someone is, when you're older, you know, train for your later years. So train when you're going to be a mum and you're going to be picking up your child. Like, your child is a weight. Your child is going to be heavy. Train for when you're elderly and you fall over and you need to push yourself back up. You know, like, I think for me, ways to get into strength training is not about bulking or being big. It's about being strong. So separate it. Being strong does not mean you have to be big.
Yeah.
You know, you can do body weight exercises for strength.
Yeah.
Push-ups, pull-ups. These are some of the hardest things for women to do that don't even involve extra weights. That's body weight, you know? I think our bodies are highly adaptive. So if you do cardio, your body has adapted to that environment. Okay, maybe it's no longer being challenged in the way that you think it is. So add in resistance training to give your body another test, to challenge it in other ways. Because if you run 5K 5 times a week, that's no longer challenging for your body. So the resistance training is really going to push your body to do something else, and get benefits. You know, people say to me, how can you eat so much? And I'm like, because I carry muscle, and you know, muscle burns fat much faster. Muscle burns calories. I literally am burning more just sitting here than most women.
Yeah.
And I say to them, like, muscles, like that feeling of feeling strong is nothing. For me, there's nothing else like it. You know, being like able to lift your own bags or, you know, do your own thing, not needing anybody else in your life is a great feeling. And you can start small. You can start body weight. You can start just with some machines if you don't feel that comfortable. You don't have to go from cardio to CrossFit Olympic lifting. No. There's a huge world in between. But
and years though, isn't it? It's like, it's for us women with strength training, it's not just like you're going to get it in 3 months. Yes, you might make some shifts. Every, like, one's body composition is different, but actual raw strength, I think like a foundation of a good year of really building strength, and then beyond. Like, my physique from when I was like 5 years ago is so different now. And I think that's like the big, everyone thinks the change, like, again, like, change is going to happen so quickly. And it's like expectations need to be managed, right?
100%. And you know, like, that's why I always say, train for the future you. Train for the you in 20 years. Don't train for the you now. Like, and don't train always aesthetically, you know, like, there's not always a need for that. But when it comes to strength training, it's so easy to track progress. Mm-hmm. You know, it's so easy to add extra weight, add extra reps, add in a tempo, change all the variables. There's so much you can do with one strength exercise, like a back squat, for example. Yeah. You can change the weight, the speed, you can add a pause, you can add a box, you know, and just with one movement, you can do so many different things to diversify your training. And I just think, you know, if you're just running, or, you know, it's not as interesting. I know some people love it. It's definitely good therapy, but the gym doesn't have to be boring. It can be really interesting. Like, it can be fascinating. Yeah. It's amazing what you can do.
Yeah. I think that's definitely, like, with strength training too. It's even just like when coaching women and just trying to show women, it's not just about the bulking. Like you said, it's like groceries, what we call an exercise with your farmer's carry. Yeah. Like, sometimes I make it a competition with myself. How many can I carry? For a kilometer. But that's the functional fitness and functional strength training that we actually do. And I think that's where it's relative to day-to-day life. And it's the same, like, even runners, like, reduces injury, you know?
100%.
And actual being able to land properly on a single leg and having the strength so your knee doesn't collapse in. And I think that's just the misconception of, yeah, I'm not going to be able to be fast enough, but actually adding the strength training in, or different variables of running, like running up hills or stairs, that's a form of strength training. So I think it's like, it's that whole misconception, especially the more I read and the more I focus on women, there's a lot of misconceptions of the bulky, the I'm not going to be strong enough or fast enough or whatever. But it's actually, I think it's when you flip it on the other side, and it's like, actually, and you just mentioned it then, not just about the aesthetic gains, it's focus on performance, but like focus on what we can do. Because I see you, like, you're smashing it, Tiger. You've got all that time now to get all that training in. And like, it's all about getting stronger, and it's all about being functionally fit. And I just think I think it's epic when you just watch women shift weight around the gym and just see their potential. Like, it just makes me smile. Like, I think I'm smiling now.
It's amazing. Like, it was fun. Like even yesterday, I was deadlifting and I posted on my story, I'm so stupid, I miscalculated, and you obviously said, you know, and I miscalculated my reps, but, you know, ended up doing over 100 kg. And then when you sit back and you think, wow, I've just lifted over 100 kilograms 5 times. Yeah. And like, something like, it's like, and even me, like, you're not doing that for anyone else, because realistically, no one actually cares. And this is another thing. No one cares.
When I replied on your story.
But realistically, like, this is to all the women out there, literally nobody cares about your training as much as you think they do. Yeah. You know, so don't train what other people think you should be doing. Because again, we as a population are so self-centered, it's unbelievable, you know, like, so you need to find that intrinsic motivation where, you know, I lift 100 kg and I'm like, yes, I did that. Like me, that's the only reward I get, because there's no one else that's going to say that, you know. But that feeling for me is like, damn, like I'm making progress, I'm making gains. And that's, you know, almost 2 times my body weight. So that in itself is enough. But yeah, I mean, the whole bulking thing, like, I actually think, and this is what women need to be careful of as well, they insult people when they say, oh, I don't want to lift weights because I'm going to get bulky. And they point at someone who's bulky. And I'm like, well, you're actually discrediting a huge amount of hard work by saying that. True. Because you think you are going to look like that just by lifting a few weights. It means that you're not understanding the time, the dedication, the nutrition, the supplements, the strength training, the hours that they have got to that point. So actually be very careful.
Yeah. Oh, I love how you just worded that. Yeah, 100%. It's like, even I've had people before, ladies before, and then we get the 2 or 3 kgs and they're like, this is going to make me bulky. And I'm like, no, it's going to get that definition, or what you want to call it, tone or lean. Like, they're all like the same, like, kind of the word. It's just whatever you feel like society is going to tell you that sounds better, or it's what you kind of want, right? Like, and yeah, I think it is a huge discredit to women, especially when we're building muscle, because it takes us a hell of a lot more, especially for all those ladies who have their husbands or partners or their male partners. And yeah, they will grow muscle at a completely different rate to us women.
Unbelievable. The difference between men and women, and like, you know, we've had chats this week, and definitely, like, women are not small men. Like, the differences are unbelievable, and you know, like, you have to really acknowledge that. And that's not ever, it's never sexism saying men are stronger, faster, because they simply are. Like, it's not, it is literally a fact. Like, for example, take simple movements like push up and a pull up. Mm-hmm. One of the weakest, some of the weakest men will still be stronger than some of the strongest women through those movements.
Yeah.
It's just how we're built. And, you know, for me, like, if a guy does 3 pull-ups, it's like, okay, but when a girl gets her first 3 pull-ups, you know, the difference there, you have to celebrate it, because it's a whole different ball game.
Yeah.
It really is.
Yeah, 3 you know? Straight off the bat, especially if they're strict as well. It's yeah.
Yeah. That by itself is.
And everyone's chasing. I have a fit, like we spoke about this the other day, like even just me when I'm programming and pushing women to challenge their bodies in terms of the push-ups, pull-ups, like the next level once they've really built a foundation. But yeah, you see everyone wanting to do a pull-up, right? And it's just like, at the same time, I'm like, this is really great, and I think it's awesome to have it as a goal. But the realization when a lot of women get disheartened that they haven't got it, and it's like 6 months later, I'm like, but that's the thing, you haven't been training for like 2 years prior or however long, and you have the expectation to pull 50 kgs of your body weight, 60 kgs of your body weight, and it's like, in that relative aspect, if you've never done it, like, it's not like we're 10 years old anymore where we can fling our little body around. It's
it's crazy.
Yeah, no, I think, but it's awesome at the same time as soon as they start nailing it. So it's the best.
It's the best.
That's the reward for me as a coach.
It's like, yeah, when someone says, like, messages me and says, like, I was able to do a pull-up or a push-up, whatever it is, like, you as a coach generally feel that celebration for them. Because I remember my first pull-up for sure. Like, of course I do. Like, it's a big milestone.
I actually can't now you say that.
I remember it was one of those, like, just pulling your chin over the bar, and I was like, ah. Yeah.
Shaking everywhere. I've got it. Does this count?
Not Instagrammable, but
no, well, it would be now. It'd be quite good to see the journey now, though. If we had any phones then and took as many pictures or videos as we did back then when we first got them. I just had another question as well, is what does a healthy lifestyle mean to you? So, like, for you, and how, if someone else is kind of starting off in their journey, how can they make those small changes? So obviously your lifestyle and what you perceive as healthy, but then also then translated to someone kind of starting out in their journey.
Yeah. I think that's very important to say. Like, people say, like, oh, I have a very healthy lifestyle or whatever, but my entire life is built around that, you know, like, it is my fun. It is every day I wake up with that goal. and I'm surrounded by health and fitness. So I would first say to anyone starting out, just don't ever try and compare yourself to someone who's already in the industry, who's been in the industry for a long time. Because I always say this, I'm like, it is my job to be healthy and look healthy, because otherwise I'm a terrible role model for my clients. But if you're starting out, first thing I would say is don't overcomplicate it, okay? Because it's actually not, okay? There are a few things that you need to focus on to start. And firstly, it's your sleep, making sure that you're sleeping well. Start to look and track parts of your life. Start to look at what you're eating. Start to look at, is it a colorful plate? Have you got, protein sources? Start to watch what you're doing. How much are you drinking? And you don't have to do anything for the first part. Tracking self, being aware is the first step, because by being aware, you're already well ahead of a lot of people in this world. Like there are plenty of people who are not. Don't set yourself too many big goals. Set yourself mini ones, 10,000 steps, 3 liters, 2 or 3 gym sessions. I think the biggest mistake you can make is setting yourself up to fail. So if you go, right, I'm starting my fitness journey, I'm getting in the gym 5-6 times a week, and I'm doing this, I don't go to the gym 5-6 times a week. It's not realistic for me. My goal is always 3 to 4. If I go more, then yeah, I did something good. I beat my target. So kind of aim in the midline, because you can always go above. Otherwise, if you aim too high, you're going to let yourself down. I would say find people in your everyday environment who inspire you. Find the people, for example, if you're in corporate, find that corporate person around you who is running in the morning before they go to work, who is going to the gym at lunch or afterwards. Talk to them about it. How do you find the motivation or the discipline to go when we're tired? Talk to those around you who are going on a similar journey, because at the end of the day, you need to be surrounded by like-minded individuals who want the same things.
Yeah.
So reach out as well if you need help, because it is nothing wrong with saying, I have no idea what to do. Because the best thing for a coach is to have someone who's willing to try.
Yeah.
Someone who says, I'm here, I have absolutely not a clue what to do, but I'm here and I want to try. Sweet. We'll do it with you. We'll help you,
Yeah, no, I love that. I think it is important, especially everyone is different. Everyone's on their own journey. Everyone's had a different kind of upbringing, to surroundings, to influences, to environment. And then to now, where the environment changes, and you might, even the media. The media is one of the most places I will never get my information or sources from. You want to get it from proven sources that have done the research. Books have been published on it, rather than looking at your next Wikipedia bit of source for information. I think, and then it's then sourcing, obviously everyone gets a lot of things from YouTube or Instagram. And I think, from getting a healthy lifestyle, it's then looking at who is your person of influence and education. I think that's super, super important.
And finding people that you really trust. I have a few people who, like yourself included, around me who I genuinely believe in what they're doing. I believe in their methods. I believe in their style. And that's enough. Don't overwhelm yourself with, if you find 3 good coaches or people on Instagram who you like, who inspire you, that's fine. You don't need sources, because you're going to overwhelm yourself with different information. But, the basics are there. You don't, people who try and overcomplicate it are just trying to find excuses for why they can't achieve what they want to achieve. They're just trying to blame it on something else by overcomplicating the whole thing. And it's actually no, move more, eat less, and find balance. That's it, everything in moderation.
Yeah, everything in moderation. I think as well, just picking up on the bit that you said about eat less as well, then it's obviously different depending on who the person is, in terms of some people might need to eat more. But so I think, I think healthy lifestyle is so true. And it's I'm always working on myself. It's not like I'm a finished product and I never will be. I'm always trying to better myself. And even with lockdown, I was going with everyone, I'm sure. I was literally going up and down, and I went in hard in, thinking, cool, I've got this and this, and I was loving it, and then hurt my neck, and then that changed for me certain bits in terms of my training. Quite a lot of people, then I put a bit of weight on, and I was just oh my God, and I was quite sedentary, and I just didn't really, I kind of just drifted off, and I needed a rest anyway. I think it was a good thing, maybe, just to make everybody rest. But yeah. I think, do you have anything else to add on? Otherwise, I think that's enough for a lot of people to try and digest. I think maybe the tip from you, even maybe, if someone wanted to make a change or a transition, either in let's say in their career into the health and fitness industry, because I get a few of those messages too. What would be your advice? What would be your advice if they take the leap, or is it the right leap for them?
Yeah, I think what I would say is, like, I first came to Tiger Muay Thai in 2015. I just finished university and I had a break before I was going into the corporate world. And I never, in my wildest dreams at that stage, I never at that point ever thought I was going to be able to work at Tiger Muay Thai. That was, I looked at the coaches and I was like, wow, they have the best job in the world. Fast forward 5 years later, like, I have that job and I'm no different or special than anyone else. I just found something I wanted to do and I gave it everything. And I think for anyone who's willing to make the change, make it, because at the end of the day, like, you only, like we say this, like, you don't get another chance. You don't get another shot.
Yeah.
And you can do, like, why not change now to health and fitness? And if it doesn't work out, find something else. And if that doesn't work out, find something else again, you know, like, and, you know, I think people, none of us, me, I was not born looking this way. I'm sure.
No, you're about this big.
And I had a fat stage, for sure. I had a fat stage during school, you know, like, I had no muscle at points.
Yeah.
Don't look at coaches now and be like, oh my God, I don't look like them. How could I be a coach? They didn't look like that when they started. Yeah. So start from the beginning and just make the leap, because the rest of us have, and we're all doing fine. So honestly, crack on.
Yeah, love it. But
I love the post. I love the stuff about your adventure. I think it's a whole awesome different angle that you've got going on there with all your treks. So that stuff for me is the best stuff. It's so good.
Oh, awesome. Sweet. Okay, so we're going to have to do this another time at some point, I think. But thank you to everyone who listened. Hopefully people listen. We're going to share it anyway. So you got no choice.
And they didn't. I had fun. So
I did. I learned something about you I didn't even know. So yeah, cool. I'm going to just stop recording this.